Well, hello friend, and welcome to another episode of Van Life Living in the Ark. I'll tell you, I was coming down here and I was going to do a video out here on this beautiful dock. I'm going to flip around here and I'll show you. Right out here, there's this dock, but the problem was that, well, when I went to set up, some fishermen showed up, and you know, the fishermen love to fish off that dock, and to tell you the truth, I was quite surprised that there were no fishermen around and I was going to be able to do that when it wasn't that cold yet. You know, it's fall and you got pretty colors, but it's still warm enough to be a lot of people fishing. So that's kind of, I was surprised. Turned out they were just waiting for me to set up. Right? That's just the way life works, right? You got to work with what you get. Anyway, friend, let me just tell you, I come down here to the river today because my mother wanted to come down to the river, so she's just down the way, probably napping by now, just sitting out watching the river. My father used to bring her down here, and she likes to come down by the river sometimes and just sit. I think she sits and ponders my dad, you know. They were married a lot of years. I come down here to ponder Jesus, as you know, and about the purpose of the world has come to know love by experience. And I'll tell you, earlier today, I ran into somebody that, well, they stopped by the house, and I won't go into detail, just somebody I care a lot about. And there was a time when I used to have a very close relationship with them, and well, now because of the things have changed these last years, that relationship isn't the same. How you doing? So back then we had a lot more in common. Now that I'm doing this Jesus thing and I've made God this promise, well, it's basically cost me every relationship I had in my life. I mean, outside of my family, they're kind of obligated to love me because they're my family, right? and I try to make it as easy for them as possible to do so. But being a guy that talks Jesus politics and sees all that's coming, so I have to warn them about things. See, that's the reason this person got me out of there, the reason they're not in my life anymore. Because I have to tell you what's coming. So there's a gentleman that watches my videos a lot, and I'm sure you're going to be watching this, my friend. And he's always telling me, I like your videos so much more when you're not talking about what's coming. Well, the problem is that if I don't talk about what's coming, then people are going to get caught off guard. And that's not what God wants. He always lets you know before, you know, there's a drastic change that goes on. Do you live down here now? Yeah, it's going to be hard. I do Jesus video. I take care of Mom, and I do videos about Jesus in the woods. So I don't normally come to like a park like this with a lot of people and everything. I usually am like, I'll go down to Northeast or up into Lancaster. I go out into the distant parks. That way I can go talk about Jesus and what's going on in this world. And telling people, I don't know if you know Jesus, but if you don't, now's a great time to get to know him. Because people that don't know the Bible don't realize that all this was predicted, and it is all going down exactly word for word in the Bible the way it was.
A friend of mine at work talks about that, yeah.
It is, if you can't see that now, you're blinder than anything I've ever seen, because the Bible literally describes every literal detail of what's going down. From, like, people don't even realize, but the Euphrates River's drying up. And if you go look at that online, you will find out it's already 60% dried up.
Yeah, I heard about that on the news.
Yeah, it's worth looking into. If you think that's all farce, I'm telling you, it's not. It's all accurate.
But yeah, my friend says the same thing. I mean, I believe there's a lot of truth to that.
Oh yeah, and there's codes in the Bible just proving that it's all real. But a lot of people don't believe, you know, but I talk to people online, that way they can shut my video off if they don't like it. So I have some people that follow me, and then, you know, yeah, I do like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I have different sites, and I put up videos, longer ones, and then I break these ones from YouTube down into shorts and put on the other, like TikTok. People on TikTok don't have an attention span longer than 3 minutes. If it's more than 3 minutes, they won't listen to it. For the average person, because it's mostly younger people, and we've designed them that way. Our kids have no, you know, attention span now.
They want instant gratification.
Yeah, yeah.
Instantly, they don't want to wait around for it.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever heard of Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission? Okay, well, if you go, do you have Hulu?
Hulu?
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay. Well, the app Hulu has some great videos on there right now. One is the dark money game, and you will understand what's going on in our government and the fact that we're screwed and our country's over. We're not going to get this fixed. And honestly, I'll tell you the truth. It tells you that in the Bible. It told you about Mystery Babylon. And whether you know it or not, because I've posted all kind of videos showing it, because people won't believe this stuff. But they've been the ultra rich have been planning, they knew this was all coming, and they built underground arcs. And it literally talked about that in the Bible. It told you that they were going to hide in their caves, meaning underground arcs, and they were going to pray for death. Death wouldn't come. This is all literally written in the Bible. I mean, the entire future is, I can already tell you what's going to happen because the Bible told you. It's just it's hidden in code, and a lot of the stuff you can't tell until the code shows up. Back then, imagine they knew that in the Bible it said that people, for over 2,000 years ago, this was said, that people were not going to be able to buy or sell without a mark, the mark of the beast. It would have been impossible to monitor trade without digital ID and digital money. That would have been impossible to do. Right now, they could not do it in America because we have cash. They have to have digital money. 2,000 years ago, they wouldn't have had a clue on, they would have been talking about things, people would have been like, dude, you are so crazy.
They couldn't
And
even grasp it.
they couldn't even grasp what the stuff that was being said in there. But now all of a sudden you're like, they talk about, they literally describe a nuclear bomb. They describe nuclear holocaust. I mean, you've got all this different stuff. They didn't know what they were describing, but in there it talked about the sun becoming like sackcloth and the moon like blood. And what does that is a volcano, a major eruption in 536 AD. There's a video on YouTube that'll explain this all to you. That's why the Mayan civilization all the way in Mexico perished. Their crops died. That's why they started all that human sacrifice crap, trying to appease the gods because their crops were dying, and they thought they were trying to make it right. But anyway,
And what was it? Volcanic eruption?
it was a volcanic eruption that happened over in India. It's the same reason Mecca. It's the same reason that Muhammad came to power at the time he did, because all those tribes were used to being spread out. They were very territorial and they were everywhere. Well, when that volcano went off in the south, all those tribes got pushed north because of the ash in the sky. It would have been, everything would have died out. So they all got pushed north, which pushed them into Mecca, which created all kind of conflict. So a lot of this religious stuff actually comes from things that happened in the environment, but you have to be, I watch a lot of documentaries, so I see all this stuff because, like right now, everybody's angry that China and Saudi Arabia are farming in America. But what they don't know is if you had Hulu and you go to the movie The Grab, you will figure out that Saudi Arabia, The Grab, Saudi Arabia and China already do not have enough fresh water to feed their people. If we literally kicked them out of America right now, we'd have World War III like that. They would have to fight because they got to eat. So if you kick them out, you're gonna fight. You know what I mean? There's just, people are not seeing it, but the government won't tell you what's going on. So everybody's thinking bad things, which a lot of it is bad stuff. In the end, there's going to be World War III. It told you right in the Bible, and you can see it's going to happen. There's just it's already started online. You know what I mean? We're fighting, they're taking over each other's electric plants and all that. It's only a matter of time before you take down 4 power plants in the U.S., you can shut down the entire U.S. grid. It only takes 4 of the major ones. Like I said, I watch too many documentaries, but I do this because a lot of people, I don't want them to get caught at the end of the age not accepting Christ and ending up with their name written in the book of life. I want to see everybody receive eternal life because there is a law and there is a debt to pay, and anybody that doesn't accept them at the end of the age, there is a debt. And can you imagine what would happen here in America if all of a sudden our food supply dried up that they're separating us from quickly right now, all those corporations?
It'd be worse than living in the inner cities.
The inner cities will look like Mary Poppins land. You can't even imagine when these folks run out of money, when they got no food, you do, they're coming for it. And because they got a kid, they're going to kill you and yours just because. It's not a personal thing. It's just I'm hungry, my kid's going to die or you're going to die. Sucks to be you. And people are not getting that as they're letting the corporations separate us from our food supply. And everybody sees they're doing it. It's just as clear.
Since COVID, is it seems like there's a lot more local meats available. like say like Stafford and how Gavin Ells did it. I noticed a lot of people are selling more local meats. Like, remember how during COVID they had the shortages and stuff like
Yeah.
that? So people started resorting to that, going to local places and buying meat, and it kind of stuck. And it makes sense to get your meat locally, right?
It is. It is. They're actually, they want to separate you from your food supply because they cannot control us without controlling our food. That is how they get this to work. They're going to control our money, our food, and the digital ID. You won't be able to move. There's stuff going on that if I told you that I can prove, nobody will believe it. It's just too far out there. And it's just, I've seen it.
A lot of, they call them conspiracy theories. I believe
Yeah.
there's a little bit of truth to all that stuff, I think.
Well, Robert Kennedy literally said, he said, you know, now after COVID and all that and all this stuff that has been exposed, he said now they're going to have to come up with new conspiracy theories because all the ones they've got have pretty much proven to be true. And it's true. You know what I mean? That we figured out that the corporations are literally trying to separate us from our food supply. I personally had to go to the emergency room 3 times after a surgery because of the blood from after that jab. I now have blood that's too thick, and every 3 times they would take a catheter out after prostate surgery, and I had to go to the emergency room because I blood clotted. I've never had problems like any of this. And now that was that jab. Yep. But Bill Gates himself, the one day on TED Talk, and it's recorded, people aren't getting it. He said, well, if we do a really good job with vaccination, we can reduce the population. Well, do you understand that vaccination is actually to increase population, not reduce it? And people didn't pick up on it. They're just letting Bill Gates just kill us, and it's just ridiculous.
I found that odd, like in 2020 when that was going on, that he was talking about the vaccinations, because I thought to myself, you know, we were off work back then, and I was sitting around the house watching the news a lot, and I thought to myself, Bill Gates is like a software guy. What the hell does he know about vaccinations? You know, why is he talking about, you know, I mean, that's what popped into my mind.
Well, when you're starting to ask those questions, why is he buying up all the farmland when he's not a farmer? He's controlling the food supply. He's one of the ones that are part of this. There's a bunch of them. I'm not saying it's every corporate elite person. They're not all in on it at the end game. But you have a whole group of them that have an end game that doesn't include you and I surviving this. They already know that this isn't going to go right. There's just no way it's going to. And because they know that, they're going to do us in. And I'm going to talk about Jesus and get as many people as I can to accept Christ, because in the end, Jesus did say, and I believe every word Jesus said is true. He did say that the elect, not all the Christians, a bunch of Christians think they're going. They didn't do anything. He's going to say to them, why did you call me Lord, Lord, not do what I asked? They didn't love anybody, forgive anybody. They self-righteous hypocrites. They're not entering the kingdom the way they think. They're going to pay their debt through tribulation. But there is a group that he did say he was going to harvest the love. Because the purpose of the world, when you really look at it, is to know love by experience. I had an experience with God, and I traded him for a death for the truth. And he gave me a truth that I can explain, but nobody will believe. He took me to the beginning. I was in the beginning with God before creation. Nobody will believe that. It doesn't matter. But once you see why he does it, you get it. And then you realize that if he created everything perfect, like he did Adam and Eve, which he did, and gave them a free will choice, you couldn't have experience. You and I have the ability to love because somebody needs something, so we can give it to them in love. You know what I mean? So if nobody needed anything, there's nothing to give, there's no experience to be, we'd be a bunch of pets sitting in a garden. Mm-hmm. He wanted children. So to be child, then you have to create what is not yet is, which is the thought of Satan, and it is selfishness. And then we choose selfishness over love, and then we kill each other and starve each other, and we too busy worried about us and screw you guys, and that's what causes this. You know, it's the truth, and God knows that it was going to go this way because there is no way for it not to. You either give us free will or you don't, you know what I mean? And so we've got free will, and we just say, well, I myself am prodigal son risen up out of hell. I mean, I was a person, you don't know, you knew me in business down there, like you knew that I had a tree service, but I spent my early years, I was in rehab at 19, I was a drunk, I used to do drugs. I mean, I've done a lot of stuff. I'm one of those guys, if anybody ought to be condemned, it ought to be me. But if God will accept me, he'll accept anybody, let me tell you.
Did you go to Oxford?
I did.
What year did you graduate?
I didn't. I dropped out of school. I was too busy drinking and doing drugs to finish school.
What year were you supposed
I would have finished, I would have dropped, I would have finished, I should have, I got held back in 3rd grade because I was already not doing my homework and all that crap. I wasn't good at reading. And I was already screwing up that early. So through high school, I mean, I just barely scraped by. And I ended up dropping out because I moved out of my parents' house when I was 17. They didn't want me to go, but they gave me an option because I was just that bad of a kid that I was not going to abide. And they're like, if you're not going to abide by the rules, there's the door. And I took the door. They weren't anticipating my brother would give me a housing, and they thought I'd go live in a dumpster for a week or two at best and be back. But my brother took me in, so I stayed out, and then I came back, but I ended up dropping out of school because I woke up every morning. Instead of going to school, I smoked a joint, and then I'd smoke a joint, and I'd be like, well, I don't think I'm going to go to school today. And that's how my last year was my junior year, and that was supposed to be my senior year. But they messed it up, and I didn't have the right classes, and then they put me in a class that would get me through, which was an economics class, and there was a teacher that didn't like me to begin with. He already had me years before, and he said, Jason, you ain't gonna pass this class. And I said, well, without this class, I ain't gonna graduate, and I ain't gonna be here when I'm 19. That just ain't happening. So I was like, well then, I guess I'll drop out, and I did, and I dropped out, and I went and got my GED. So I never even finished school. So, but later I became a certified arborist. I've got all these different certifications. Later I started doing trainings in mental health and became a trainer. I was training doctors on how to help people and all this stuff. So, I mean, it isn't like I'm stupid. It's just I learned different than the way they teach you in school. I need, when I go get certifications, I go to like seminars. I watch videos. That's why I'm so knowledgeable now of all this stuff. YouTube. You can learn how to do anything on YouTube, you know what I mean? So I can learn the way I need to, and that's a visual. I don't learn good by reading because of my attention span. Yeah. A paragraph later, I'm thinking about what's for dinner or what I'm going to do tomorrow. You know what I mean? I don't have a real good focus that way. Yeah. Hey, how y'all doing? Good.
No, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that truck you used to have when you came in there. It was like a Ford and had the box on it.
F-350, yeah.
That thing, I know you were at Bill's a lot because that thing burned some gas. I remember it smelled like gas when you drove in. Remember out the tailpipe? It was like ran really rich. Probably had a 460 in it probably.
Yeah. I forget what it had, but that thing did eat gas. Every dump truck I ever had during my tree service years just ate up gas.
Oh yeah, I remember smelling that thing. Like, you know, they say, what is it, the sense of smells closest to your memory?
Yeah.
Like when I saw your face and you said Matlack Tree Service, it all started to come together. I remember that truck. And I remember when you start that thing up and pull out, it would just smell gas coming out the tailpipe.
Yep.
Hey, listen, buddy, I got to run.
Yeah, you have a good day. Well, friend, I think I'm going to leave the majority of that in. Unless I don't. We'll see. So just know that I had to sacrifice a lot of things for this message. I sacrificed, because I remember I was talking about, when it comes to relationships, all the people that had a lot of meaning to me in my life are no longer with me. Because I say the things I say, nobody wants to hear the truth. Like I was just talking to him about all the things that's going down, just the scripture said it would. And it's time that if you don't know Christ, it's time to get to know Christ, because the end of the age is here, and if you don't get to moving, it's going to be too late. Jesus told you that if you didn't have enough oil for your lamp, that 10 brides were going to wake up, 5 were not going to have oil. That means 5 people that thought they were Christian and they believed Jesus was their Savior are going to not have oil for their lamp. It's about the spirit of love. You better have the spirit of love. You better understand and know the truth of who God is a little bit and be faithful to Him, because Jesus told you, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I ask? Right? Is He your king or not? Because if He's not your king, then I get it. But I was talking about that people don't like it when I talk about these things. But here's the problem, friend. If I don't tell you the truth, it's not going to stop what's coming. What's coming is coming. And so therefore, I can't have any friends because everybody hates me for what I say. But I'm just telling you the truth, and you can either accept it or not. But if you're going to call me a liar, I sure hope you're going to go look at all the documentaries that I've been leaving for you over this time and you go prove all those documentaries and codes and everything that I've shown you is wrong. You're just not going to prove me wrong, friend, because I'm right. I'm telling you the truth. I was just telling him, if you heard me talking to him about on Hulu, there's 2 documentaries you want to go watch if you think I'm a liar. You want to go watch The Grab, and that's going to show you that China in Saudi Arabia are actually farming in America because they don't have enough water to feed their own people. So if you kick them out of farming in America, we'll have World War III. There's no way to stop all this. It's going down. It just is what it is. And then if you go to The Dark Money Game on Hulu, is another documentary. That one is talking about Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission, which was a Supreme Court decision that gave publicly traded corporations and all corporations the rights of United States citizens in America. So they have citizenship like we do, except they got a lot of money and they buy our politicians, and we can do nothing about it because they sold us out. That's just the truth. So yeah, I have to tell you about these things because you need to know it, because if you don't know it, you're not going to make this decision about Christ, and you are going to, in the end, pay the debt that you owe because Christ said you would. So I really want you to go do what Christ asked. My mama's waving to me down here. She's up and probably ready to go. So friend, this video didn't work out the way I was planning on it, but hey, you know what? My life never does. Just know I love you because my Father loves you, and may God bless you and yours.